Well then, we travel from above the clouds of Mexico City to down under in Australia. Welcome along to Melbourne for round 20 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship and the Australian Grand Prix. 5 rounds to go. Time's running out. We are here in Australia, the only continent without an extra volcano. Well, it makes up for it with the largest ecosystem in the world, the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Queensland, Australia. But today we're here in Melbourne, the old capital of Australia from 1901 to 1927. But today it hosts the Australian Grand Prix. Speaking of the Grand Prix, there have been 84 Australian Grand Prix. 24 have come from this circuit alone. The Albert Park circuit has 16 corners, 6 to the left and 10 to the right, which makes up the 5.3 kilometer, 3.3 mile distance across the Albert Park Lake. There are 3 DRS zones on the run into turn 1, turn 3, and turn 13. Which will certainly aid overtaking at a circuit that is kind of notoriously difficult for it, but it also has an average top speed of 227 kilometers per hour, 141 miles per hour. It's going to be fast, but overtaking is the issue. A real factor of this race will be the pit strategy. Well, a majority of these final races, Pirelli have brought the C4, C3, and C2 compounds. This is being included. The C4 being the red-wooled softs, the C3 being the yellow mediums, and the C2 being the white-wooled hards. The intermediates and full wets are also available if the conditions call for them. Right now, it's still sunny and clear in Albert Park. Looks like we're not going to need them right now. The driver strategy help tonight could play a huge role in the championship. Well, speaking of the championship, well, a week ago, Wraith gained a bit on the championship. Now he has only 56 points between him and the Alfa Romeo of Swellersteam in first, and you have in third Botch Turbo. 69 points off, 13 of Wraith in second. Toneless Death and the Ferrari sits fourth with Heatwave and the AlphaTauri behind him, 53 points back. He's been eliminated from championship contention. No Limit in sixth with Mazzi in seventh with Veyron sitting eighth in the Mercedes. He's on a roll. He's gone up a position, but down one has been Tweak in the Ferrari. He's now ninth with Roscoe. Rounding out the top 10, he has Calzone for company, 18 points back, who has Silkweaver 1 point behind him. In the Constructors' Championship, Alfa Romeo lead 133 points over newly now second place Aston Martin. They pass Ferrari. They're now 15 points ahead of them, who sits third. Red Bull sits fourth. They are 5 points behind the Ferrari Scuderia. Can they close in now? McLaren sit fifth, 48 points back, but they're in fifth with AlphaTauri behind them in sixth. Mercedes 6th, 7th, Alpine 8th. Williams sit ninth with 11 points. Gap to Haas, who rounds out the top 10. Now Heikatsu joined alongside by Minico once more like I was in Japan, but now it's Australia then. It's quite like the other street circuits because for 362 days, this is a normal park. This brings the age-old question again, track position, or do you want the fresh tires?
I think track positioning would ideally be the key around here. Obviously, as you said, it is hard to overtake around here, but if you get a really good run and you're on the back of another car, you can have a chance, as we've seen in the past couple of tiers. But you never know. There could be that one person who's a Sergio Perez. We'll have to find out. Strategy, though, could be a little bit interesting, because although the medium deficit in comparison to the softs is around 1.1 to 1.2 seconds, but no matter where you finish in this race, as long as you do finish, you're getting points. There's only 10 drivers, so if you want to go the alternate, go for it, really.
That is crazy and huge for these drivers tonight, because once again, like you said, everyone gets points. Oh no, DeBiz out of qualifying!
Ooh.
Turn 10, we were on board with that. Or off board technically. He has crashed into the barriers and will take no further part. His left front tire off of the Haas, and that's not where he's going to be wanting to be. He'll start from at least minimum of 9th, most likely 10th in the session. Groggy Oregano is also retired. That's at turn 8. What has happened?
I believe just by looking at where the cars are positioned for the Bees, I assume he just got the traction all wrong off the exit, and with the addition that the curb could be a little bit slippery, and Groggy, probably the same thing as well.
Curbs are going to be something to talk about. Track limits as well. Botch Turbo goes personal pole, 21.7. I am tweaking the Ferrari. He goes up to the line at 22.5. That's now going to be the first 2 laps we're chasing. BRL Wraith in the Red Bull, the championship hopeful 56 point back from Swellersteam in the Alfa Romeo, who, by the way, has chosen so far the medium compounded tire. DeBiz also wanted to go on the mediums, with Groggy wanting to go on the softs, but now those 2 are out. 8 drivers remain in qualifying. Wraith's going to be the next one to go across. He's going into turn 14 now. He's had a little bit of a rough stretch as of late, with him now getting that points ahead of Swellersteam a week ago in Mexico City. That can help try and rebound his championship charge. Only 5 rounds for, including this one, to do so. Well, Wraith will see what he can do. To the line he goes. Provisional pole by 7/10 at 21.0.
That's clearly a statement piece right there for a first lap. Obviously, he wants to close in on that championship. Doesn't have much time to do so. There's around 130 points or so on offer, so he needs to grab every single point to try and catch up. But Sweller, his consistency, it's hard to beat. And I just got a weather report from Heatwave. Cloudy to rain, and then back to dry.
Interesting. So with that, now that leads the question on, do you go with the medium compound tire, which both Alfa Romeos actually have bolted on? Same with Toneless Death and the Ferrari. There goes Sweller's team around, and he's out of qualifying at turn 12.
Ooh, that's crucial.
That's now 3 drivers who've crashed out of qualifying. Turn 10, turn 12, and turn 8.
Many people have been saying that this track bites hard. I think that just proves everyone's points. You get one Snappa oversteer, you might as well pray for your life. Heatwave low, he's able to go through all the corners, and he puts a 21.3.
Interesting. So now the top 4, they have all gone the soft compounded tires. You see Mazzi actually went really cautious through turn 11, because right there, you'll see his teammate. That's where he actually caught into the grass a bit on the exit of 12, and into the barriers he went. So the Alfa Romeo now on the medium compounded tire. With him going cautious, I think he's definitely going to go soft compounded tire. Yes, he's definitely gone a little bit cautious through his lap so far. Do we see him in the pit lane this time? Yes, we do. Well, now that's 3 drivers out, 7 to go. Roscoe's still in the pit lane. Now Mazzi and Toneless are in the pit lane as well, all yet to set a lap. Wraith is provisional pole. But right now it's going to be a race of attrition, not necessarily lap time.
Yeah, really, and consider the fact, as long as you get a lap time, it's a guaranteed top 8, so for all we know, someone could go on the mediums and it would actually play into their hands as of right now.
Well, that's the question, is do you want to? Because if it goes from the cloudy to rain back to dry, is it necessarily worth going on? The mediums, they can go plus or minus around 20 or so laps. So would you have to get off of those, then get on, let's say, intermediates if it does rain hard enough, then get off the intermediates again, but you're not necessarily going to use that medium compounded tire as much. Well, then again, we don't know when the rain's coming. It's a dice gamble right now. Wraith, Heatwave, Bosch Turbo, and Tweaking all have so far put on the softs, thinking it may be earlier than maybe the medium compounded strategy will allow it.
Quite possibly, though Toneless Death is out there on an outlap on the medium compound tire. I think, by the way the Ferrari are going, they might split it and see how long it takes until that rain period comes in. And if it comes in to where the softs are beneficial, then Toneless is not going to gain anything out of it. But if it comes to the point where it's around when all the soft runners have already pitted, then Toneless Death could be potentially one to watch out for. Never know, though.
Never know indeed, because obviously it's been quite the chaotic start to qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix round 20 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship, with obviously the championship leader crashing out, as well as DeBez and Groggy. So now there's only, once again, 7 cars to qualify. Roscoe is going around turn 16. He'll start his lap in the Alpha Tauri. One of 3 who has yet to set a time. Toneless Death, by the way, went straight back into the pits.
He did. I did notice that. So I'm assuming that the rain will most likely come in earlier, because everyone else on the soft compounded tire, and they're about to prepare their laps, such as Botch Durable, Tweaking, Mazzi, and Roscoe. So that's potentially just going to be a sprint until the rain.
That indeed. Now it's going to be interesting to see exactly what these drivers do. Right now it looks like all of them's gone soft compounded tire. Roscoe goes through. Tweaking went purple sector 1 of the Ferrari. He's absolutely flying through first sector of the Albert Park circuit. Now through into 9 and 10. This is difficult to see. Oh, he's in the barriers a bit too. Kind of did what DeBiz did a bit, but luckily he could carry on. Now if he has wing damage, we'll see it through 11 and 12. He still attacked it like he doesn't, but he goes wide. I guess he does.
Yeah, that just getting a little bit too early on the power, rear end just not wanting to work with him. And, well, that's cost him. Luckily, unlike the other 3 drivers of Groggy, Sweller, and DeBees, he's still in. So he can still come back into the pits and do another lap. One thing I'm questioning, though, is why Heatwave's on wets.
I just saw that as well. So Heatwave kind of just having some fun in the pit lane.
Clearly.
And Roscoe goes in as well.
Interesting. I'm going to be right back. Hang on. I know this is kind of off, but food is calling. I'll be back.
He's grabbing the food. He's having the munch.
It's a burger, okay? I can't resist.
So now, Mozzie's the only one that's out on track along with Box Gerbil in the Aston Martin. He's just started his flying lap once again. Now, that's something to talk about, as Mozzie's actually just invalidated through into turn 12. Well, I was actually going to touch on the invalidations. That's going to be something we've actually not seen a lot of so far this qualifying session, because we've seen a lot more of what the other half could be into the barriers. We've seen it with the Biz, we've seen it with Swellert, we've seen it with Groggy, sorry. And actually with tweaking as well, going through into turn 10. Purple Sector 1 for Bosch Gerbil and the Aston Martin. Once again, remember, they're now there's 3 drivers. Obviously, Bosch Gerbil, BRL Wraith, and Sweller's team all have the same amount of wins, 5 apiece going in. Those top 3 absolutely going to see who could get out of them, because those are absolutely slugging it out at the top. But don't count out Toneless Death. He's still in the championship fight. Only just. We'll talk on that a little bit later on. But right now he's in 6th. He has an outlap to go on. Heatwave has an outlap. Yellow flag through turn 2. Not necessarily sure if that was Roscoe. Or Heatwave, I'm sorry. Slowing down to get through, I believe, that ring Wraith, who's going to start his flying lap onto turn 3 right now. The Aston Martin is going through. Yellow flag. And that, I think, may be, yeah, it's Mozzie going through into turn 7 and 8. 9. Wraith is out of qualifying. And Mozzie has been given a 5-place grid penalty. Collision with BRL Wraith. What has happened to the championship rivals, Sweller's team and Wraith? Contact with Mozzie. Drama in Albert Park.
I just came back to that. What the heck? I just got back and see a 5-place grid penalty. Ooh.
I think Mozzie was trying to get out of the way of Wraith. They made contact with each other. And now Mozzie has a 5-place grid penalty. That will put him, if he gets below 5th, to start 10th. But now Wraith is out of qualifying. What has happened here?
Things are definitely unraveling, that's for sure. I'm not entirely sure if Wraith's pole position is going to be safe. I mean, Botch Gerbil, he's only a 10th down on Wraith's lap time, but he's obviously not on a lap as of right now. But that is definitely going to be crucial once again in the championship. Can Wraith still keep pole and start at the front, whereas his rival at the back?
Well, don't count out Bosch Gerbil, who's right next to him right now. What can Toneless Death do? By the way, in the Ferrari, he goes up ahead of his teammate, tweaking up to 4th. Now yellow flag through into turn 3. I believe that's both, actually I believe it is Mozzie letting both Alpha Tauris through. Heatwave and Roscoe almost nose to tail. You see Heatwave on the softs, Roscoe on the mediums. He's sticking it out. 4 minutes and 50 seconds left in qualifying. We've had drama. 4 drivers out of qualifying. Sweller's team and Wraith, the 2 championship hopefuls, are out. Yellow flag, I believe that is...
It's for Heatwave.
There he is, Mozzie.
It was actually for Heatwave where it was. Actually, no, you're right. It is Mozzie. I think he's out of...
He's actually in AI.
Oh.
And his blocked Heatwave.
Mozzie's out of fuel. That's what's up.
Well, that has not gone well. Because now Heatwave's lap has been hampered. And Roscoe was kind of having to split the middle of that one.
Yeah, but luckily he was able to carve through all that, and looks like he's still very much pushing on his mediums. I don't know how he didn't invalidate at the exit at turn 13, went a little bit wide, and he knows that, so he's going to take a little bit cautious. Going through the final 2 corners, got to be careful of traction out of turn 16, which he manages to do so quite nicely. Once again, not getting an invalidation there. I don't know how. Across the line, P6.
He's the only one who's got a lap valid and up on the board on the medium C3 compounded tire. But that's crucial right now. Mozzie obviously getting a 5-place grid penalty and Wraith out of qualifying. That's going to be a talking point. The stewards may have to talk about that later on, as well as Mozzie blocking Heatwave.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a little bit of heat going on after this race. Maybe even just after, right after qualifying.
Oh, no!
Oh!
I caught the tail end of that, and I'm not sure how he's still in qualifying. Heatwave spins in the exit of 5. Now he has no front wing.
Looks like he just escaped from being the 5th driver to be out of qualifying. Imagine that, half the grid out of qualifying. Like, damn.
Well, right now, It's not looking like the best of sessions for the Tier 2 Championship, which means how chaotic will this Australian Grand Prix be in about 3 minutes' time?
And I'm going to assume that's going to be quite chaotic, especially since they're already struggling with grip now when it's completely dry. There's rain in the race. I'm not prepared for that, how that's going to go down.
Very true. Next one across the line. I am tweaking the Ferrari. As you see ahead into the pit lane goes an AlphaTauri, tweaking to the line. He does improve on his time, not his position, but by the way, 5 milliseconds between him and Tony Steth. The Ferraris are close.
I was just about to note that. Yeah, clearly they are very close on pace in this race. Obviously, Tony Steth, he's on an outlap, so he's going to be able to better his lap time. Ooh, Tweaking King a little bit squirrely off the exit at turn 3. Manages to keep it out of the wall. But yeah, Toneless Death can still improve on his lap time, so can everyone else in front of him. Heatwave, Botch Verbal. We could possibly even see something from Mozzie. So, although they're close right now, that's definitely gonna change.
Well, they have enough time. If they're not out, they need to get out now.
Oh yeah. Which Botch Gerbil, he's out.
Not out. Roscoe's not out. Mozzie's not out. They missed it.
Botch Gerbil and Toneless, the only two drivers that are going to be able to set a lap time.
Has Tweaking fueled for another run? That'll be crucial for his qualifying run as well, but staying in the garage, in the pit lane, for both AlphaTauris and Mozzie. Obviously, Mozzie's going to have that 5-plate grid penalty, so he would start roughly at the back anyway. Yellow flag, I believe, for Tweaking.
He's running out of fuel, I think. Or he's just on the... Well, he's on the bubble by the looks of it. But he's just taking it nice and leisurely into the pits. Roscoe, interestingly, has come back out, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to make it to the flag. So really, all eyes on Toneless and Gerbil, which Toneless, he's on a lap right now.
That'll be crucial. Heatwave also out, so unless the time is different to what we see on the screen... No, he is done. This is out. So Roscoe and Heatwave will not make the flag. It's down to Toneless. Gerbil is now coming across the line to start his flying lap now. It's going to be down to these two, as Roscoe won't make it and Heatwave won't make it. 15 seconds left to go in qualifying. 2 drivers left to decide it. We've had a lot of drama, a lot of chaos, and hopefully something that is going to spark an incredible Australian Grand Prix. Checkered flag flies, Heatwave, Tweaking, Roscoe did not make it. It's down to Toneless Death and Botch Gerbil. Toneless Death, the championship rival, he's 4th in the championship. This race is absolutely crucial for him. He would love it to have a good start. If it does rain, even if it doesn't necessarily go earlier on like he would want it to, overtaking is difficult. He wants a good qualifying start. To the line, the Ferrari will go, and Toneless Death, can he improve to second? He does not improve his position. He does his time. Now it's up to Botch Gerbil. He's going through the second sector. Only a couple more corners left to go. Can he grab pole?
Well, he's a 10th up on his lap time, which is just on the fringes. He spun off at the fast chicane. There's another spin there. Manages to keep it going, but that has absolutely ruined it. He's not going to get pole.
The curb on the entry and apex of turn 12 and the apex to exit curb. Both of those curbs have been shown crucial. We've seen Sweller crash out. We've seen Botch Gerbil spin there. We've seen DeBiz, Groggy crash out. We've seen contact between Mozzie and Wraith, ending Wraith's qualifying session. This session has been absolutely wild, but Wraith will take pole by about a 10th over this man, Botch Gerbil in the Aston Martin. What could have been? Could he have grabbed pole? He was a 10th up, but he's going to start from the second place, the second position on the grid. Still the first row regardless. BRL Wraith, he's going to continue his charge with a pole position. His 10th of the season, only one in the double digits. With Botch Gerbil behind him in the Aston Martin, he'll share row 1 of the Australian Grand Prix. Heatwave in 3rd, Toneless Death in 4th. He needs a good race. Well, we'll see how it goes out for him. Tweaking in 5th, Roscoe in 6th, and 7th being Mozzie, Groggy Oregano, Sweller Steam and DeBiz, all crashing out and not saying any time for the Australian Grand Prix. But Mozzie will start 10th. He has that 5-place grid penalty.
It's going to take a moment here. So, Australian Grand Prix, round 20. and this is Wraith's 10th pole position. He has gotten pole in half the races that we've raced. How mind-blowing is that?
Incredible pace from the Red Bull this season is qualifying, and it's been. He wishes he could continue that into the race, obviously, with only having 5 wins and 5 of those poles not going to him. Or I'm sorry, 5 of those poles resulting in 5 wins. You would say theoretically he would want to have 10 wins, 10 poles, kind of the same stretch. You want to start where you finish, or even one better, and you can't really go one better from first. But right now, qualifying is over. And it is now everyone on the softs except for Roscoe, who went on the mediums. So that will be one driver on a differing strategy. No one has free choice attire, except for Groggy, Sweller, and DeBiz, as they did not set a time.
Looking a little cloudy out here, so that just shows the rain is definitely going to be imminent. As to when, who knows? And yeah, Roscoe on the mediums. Obviously, he qualified on the mediums. Let's not forget, he actually qualified on the medium compound tire. So we'll see what he can do in relation to where his teammate is. His teammate on the 2nd row, he's on the 3rd row. That he's going to be potentially one to watch out if the rain comes at a later time.
Indeed, but now it's about to start the Australian Grand Prix for the formation lap. It's about time for the Australian Grand Prix. It's going to be great. It's going to be interesting. 5 rounds to go in the Formula 1 Tier 2 Championship for the Breakout Racing League. The lights are off. We're going to get going now.
29 laps, and who knows what is going to happen. We may only have 10 drivers, but this is Tier 2. Tier 2, always full of excitement. Has been in the past couple of seasons. We could potentially get another great race once again. And we're just going to have to see how it all pans out at the end.
And that indeed, and excitement is something that's been hyped up for this race a little bit more than usual, because it's been 560 days, yes, you heard that right, since the last time Tier 2 has taken its charge at the Albert Park circuit. It wasn't on the calendar a season ago. It was round 1 in Season 5. Here we are in round 20 of Season 7. It's been a long time since we've been to the Albert Park circuit, but it's been open with welcome arms. The last 24 races, only 9 of them have been won from pole, about 37%. So right now, Wraith is going to be looking to hopefully break that trend and win his 6th race of the season, trying to close up on Sweller's team. Speaking of the championship, only 4 drivers are in contention. Wraith on pole, Bob Sherrill behind him in 2nd, Toneless Death in 4th, and Sweller's team in the Alfa Romeo in 8th. He leads the championship, the Alfa Romeo, but right now the only one going to be sweating a tad bit more is this man in 4th. Toneless Death needs to outscore Sweller by 16 points to stay in the championship fight, leading down into Sao Paulo a week from now for the Brazilian Grand Prix. But 2 seasons ago, it was a Red Bull, a familiar sight. As you see the one on pole, Zach JW came home, the Aussie himself, as a winner of the Australian Grand Prix 2 seasons ago with 81% of the grid. With penalties, we said penalties will be a huge talking point. Same with strategy, but also through qualifying, same with the curbs.
Yeah, the curbs are really going to have to be careful with them, because if they position their car just a millimeter the wrong way, you're off and into the wall. We've had plenty of moments. It could definitely bite. But no stone left unturned for these last 5 races. All out. Everything that you have. Now's the time to make the charge.
Now indeed. 130 points left on the table. The drivers won them all. How many can they get? It's the Australian Grand Prix, and it's 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. A good start from Wraith and a great start from the Ferrari of Toneless Death. He's already alongside and going to be through on the Alpha Tower. He's up to 3rd. It's going to be Wraith from Gerbil from Toneless Death from Heatwave, who's actually off track as I am tweaking in the Ferrari. Sweller's team to 5th, Groggy DeBiz, and now Toneless Death and around. Look at that, DeBiz in the wall. No front wing for both him and Roscoe in the Alpha Tauri. Mozzie's been caught up in that as well, and a virtual safety car.
We didn't even make it to the end of Sector 1, and there's already a virtual safety car. I think DeBees got caught up by Mozzie into Turn 2, and DeBees just got sent completely into the wall. No front wing for him. Actually, there's no front wing for Roscoe either. So both these two have been caught into the wall. Looking at Mozzie, he doesn't look like he has any damage, so he managed to escape. But not the start that Roscoe or DeBees would have wanted. Look at Sweller, though. He's up to P5.
He is indeed, and that's something that really Thomas Death didn't want to see. Up 3 positions for Sweller's team. The virtual safety car is gone. Botch Turbo is almost pushing the Red Bull of Wraith, going down in the turn 11 and 12. Right now, 1.5 seconds between Gerbil and Toneless Death, going down in the turn 13. Can Heatwave think of a move? He looks for it. He's just not going to be close enough this time by. Yellow flag through, and that's going to be, I believe, Roscoe and DeBiz going a little bit slowly because of no front wing. They're going to be going back to the pit lane after lap 1. It's been crazy, and we haven't even talked about the strategy. Going a little bit deep goes Toneless Death. Heatwave could be under a little bit of enticement to go and try to grab that P3, that last spot on the podium. Going down into turn 1. He's still a little bit too far back. Wraith leads from Gerbil, from Toneless, from Heatwave, from Sweller's team. Groggy, Regano, Tweaking, Mozzie, Roscoe, DeBiz, the top 10. It's been chaotic.
It definitely has been, and Roscoe and actually DeBees has missed the pits by the look of it. Actually, no, he hasn't. He's gone into the pits, but Roscoe and DeBees, unsurprisingly, into the pits, and that's just absolutely ruined the race, but they can still get a couple of points out of this as long as they just do not DNF. Obviously, you have to finish 90% of the race if you do want points, so they're just going to have to keep it clean. And now, Wraith trying to build a little bit of a gap to Gerbil. And meanwhile, what's happened to Tweaking?
Flag. Tweaking's around. I believe that is at turn 5. The exit we saw it through qualifying. We saw Heatwave, and we saw an incident with the Red Bull of Wraith. Looks like he doesn't have any visual damage that we can see. He'll keep going again. But right now, Wraith trying to get away. Toneless Death can't.
Yeah, no, Toneless Death, he might be struggling a little bit on the soft compounded tire, and he's now leading a 3-car train. And obviously, Heatwave, he wants the DRS. He wants it now so he can get past the Ferrari and chase the front 2. Heatwave, we know he has the pace. Unfortunately, this season for him has just not unraveled the way he wanted to. But he's going to make it count in these last 5 races. So he's all over the back of Toneless. He wants to get ahead. And actually, Toneless going a bit too deep again. Could that invite Heatwave into turn 1?
It will, almost in the back of the Ferrari this time, but on the button to the right-hand side. Gerbil says the fastest lap, but here comes Heatwave. Don't look out, Sweller's still there. They're going to go side-by-side into 1. The Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari, and Sweller gets past Toneless. That is not what the Ferrari needed for this race in the championship. He needs to outscore the guy in front of him by 16 points. Well, now he's looking back at his rear wing in 5th position.
Yeah, that is definitely not what Toneless wanted, but that's exactly what Sweller wanted. He's had a great start in these last couple laps. He's made up the most positions in the first couple of laps, so he's up to 4th, and he's on the back of Heatwave, but I think Heatwave, as to whether he has the pace or not to pull away, I'm not entirely sure, but Sweller will have that aid of DRS to help him.
Yes, he will. The drag reduction system, the DRS, are enabled if you're within a second of the car in front of you, and that's crucial if you're this man in the Aston Martin. Watch Gerbil. He's within a second of Wraith, who is going to get the exit, better exit, going through turn 12 from the Red Bull, but he's got the DRS, not going to be close enough for a move down into turn 13 this time. Sweller's going to have the DRS. He's also not close enough into 13 this time as well. So Bosch Gerbil is going to be the only one closing in. Well, he has a little bit of gap, 2.6 seconds. Can he get through on Wraith this time by, or is it going to be a little bit of a game, a cat and mouse between the Aston Martin and the Red Bull? We'll find out. The button on and then disdeployed, I guess disemployed for him. With the DRS, the slipstream, Gerbil sets the fastest lap. Sweller gets past Heatwave, so now he gets up to 3rd, and the Aston Martin stays behind Wraith into turn 2.
He's got a second chance, though. Obviously, the second DRS zone is right after the main straight. He's going to go for it down the inside into turn 3. The Wraith trying to keep around the outside. He does so, going wheel to wheel now into turn 4. Wraith does have the inside, but Botch Dribble managing to sail around the outside still. Now has the inside, getting on the curb, but manages to get ahead.
That was almost disaster from both Gerbil and Wraith. So now Wraith is down to 2nd. Sweller's team gets past and up to the 3rd, down at turn 1 from Heatwave, who, by the way, is now behind Toneless Death. But look at this. He's almost within DRS from what happened between Wraith and Gerbil. Roscoe sits the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at 24.2. But now Toneless Death has a bit of a pressure behind from the Alpha Tauri. Sweller has a little bit of a gap.
He does, so he doesn't have to worry about Toneless. He just needs to catch up to the 2 in front. Wraith, once again, having DRS on Gerbil, but the DRS straight just a little bit too short and not able to make a move into turn 13. But he only has to wait a couple more corners for the next.
We'll see. Does he try to repay the favor? There's going to be a little bit of a swap between him and Botch Gerbil in front of him. Yellow flag, and that's out of the race as I am tweaking the exit of turn 12. We saw it in qualifying with the Alfa Romeo of Sweller's team. It looks like we will stay green for now. And Wraith will stay behind into turn 1 on the Aston Martin of Bosch Gerbil.
Once again, that fast chicane is claiming another victim, the rear end of Squirrely. Safety car!
Whoa! A late safety car deployment, so that will change things.
Checking to see if anybody has lost their front wing, because that could potentially be another cause. It looks like, no, everyone has the front wings. So it's just a late call for what happened with tweaking. That'll help Roscoe and DeBees, but that'll also delay as to when the rain will come in.
That'll be crucial indeed, because now, do you stay out? Because you don't want to take any unnecessary pit stops. Roscoe is in. He has that bit of a gap, and obviously he's going to be around 8th or 9th regardless. But now if you're guys like Bosch Gerbil, Wraith, Sweller, telling us, by the way, the top 4 are also the top 4 in the championship, just a little bit misarranged. But do you take a gamble and pit now and stay stuck behind guys like Heatwave, Groggy, Mozzie if you're in this top 4, but then the rain starts coming out and now you're behind them in the intermediate period? It's a gamble that they're going to have to figure out what they want to do.
I'm not sure what I would do if I was in their situation. First thought, I think, well, given how fast the softs can degrade around this track, and also the drop-off, pitting definitely isn't out of the question, which Bosch Gerbil is actually going to do. So Bosch Gerbil's in, Wraith is in, Sweller's in, everyone's coming in, I think.
See, yep, Heatwave is in, Groggy Oregano also goes in, Mozzie stays out.
Ooh, gambler.
Groggy Oregano, a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That will be applied to the end of his race time or the next time he stops. Mediums goes on to everyone, including Roscoe, who also stopped. DeBiz is going through the middle sector, now into the final sector now. So he will have a chance to pit if he wants to. Safety car is now collecting Mozzie into turn 3. So it looks like everyone has decided to take the luxury, to take the free choice into the pit lane. The free gamble, I guess you could say. On the mediums, look like it pays off for everyone. Mozzie staying out. That's a gamble indeed.
I think Mozzie might be thinking that the rain is going to come in rather early, whereas everyone else on the mediums, they're all thinking that the rain will come in later, to where the point that the softs will be too worn out to do anything. So that might leave Mozzie in the dust, unless Mozzie has the right call.
Well, DeBiz is also in, so it looks like he is now the only one that does not stop for the medium C3 tires. That raises the question, is this a long shot? Is this a Hail Mary, so to speak, for Mozzie? Trying to get some track position, trying to hold off the likes of Bosch Gerbil, BRL, Wraith, Sweller, Toneless, and everyone else behind. Or is this just a little bit of a, might as well, let's kind of reorder myself, restructure, get the freshest tires?
Genuinely speaking, considering the fact that Wraith is ahead of Sweller, this could potentially be a little bit of a team tactic going on. Mozzie gonna hold him up, Sweller gonna try and get ahead of the Red Bull. Because obviously there is a bit of a gap between Sweller and Wraith, of course. 56 points. That could definitely change in a matter of one race. So I think he's gonna try and do it for Alfa Romeo.
That could be the case, as obviously he stays out once again. So we'll have at least one more lap. Groggy and Toneless may have a little bit of a shuffling position because Groggy goes into the pit lane. He'll, I guess, go for another set of mediums, get the freshest tires, unless he's had a collision under the safety car, which I don't think he has.
I think it's to get rid of the 5 second.
That's exactly what it is.
Yep. Fresh set of mediums, unsurprisingly, yeah.
So now, we'll wait another lap. DeBiz going through the final corner. We'll go in next time by. So how long does this rain wait, if it even comes at all?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. Obviously, I was told by Heatwave that it was cloudy, switches to rain, and then back to dry. As to when that dry period will come back after the rain, that's really the question, because if it's around like an hour or so, then that could potentially mean that the rain will come in, I would say, like midway through this race. And I don't think the softs will make it midway, unless Mozzie is some sort of a Sergio Perez and just knows how to take care of tires. Or Hamilton, really. Either one of the two works.
Well, Pirelli say that the softs can go around 15 laps, so that theoretically is halfway. Obviously, the mediums can go about 20, the hards can go about 25 to 30. So with this safety car, if it can go about 15 laps, which Pirelli can say, this will help Mozzie stretch him out a bit more. Obviously, the temperatures are down, so the grip will be a little bit up, so maybe it will be a little bit easier to stretch these tires, but the safety car is in this time. 5 laps is the difference between Mozzie and Bot Scherbel on their respective tire, but when does Mozzie's tires start kind of dropping off a bit? So, I mean, usually it's around maybe 10 or so laps on a soft compounded tire. If that's the case, he could be in some trouble here.
He could potentially be. We'll just have to find out. Mozzie, no doubt, though, he's going to try and back everyone up, try and help Sweller as much as he can. If Alfa Romeo are really doing the team tactics, then Mozzie, he's just going to do absolutely everything to back him up. No, he's not actually. He's got full throttle out of the final corner, so he's going now.
He's actually caught Sweller's team napping. He has a huge gap, 1.3 seconds behind the Red Bull of Wraith, which is not what he wanted. But he also theoretically has a 1 second gap to Tone Lesteth behind him, so it's not too bad for the Alfa Romeo team. And here comes Bot Scherbel. He's not going to wait any time on Mozzie. Can he send it now? Does he want to send it now? No, he doesn't. He looks for it, but he just can't get through this time. Mozzie defending well in the Alfa Romeo, so he'll stay ahead. Now Wraith's closing in. That may actually close in Sweller's team a bit more as well.
The question is to whether Gerbel would want to pass Mozzie or not. Obviously, he's already pitted. He could potentially go to the end on this tire. Does he stay behind and risk Wraith overtaking him? Or does he just simply go for it, get the track position, and pull away? Mozzie going a bit deep out of turn 9. That's going to invite Gerbel. He's going to try to go around the outside of the exit of turn 10. Mozzie, I think, might just let him by, and he does.
That's crucial, because now Mozzie is going to separate, be a buffer car for the Aston Martin of Bot Scherbel. So now Wraith will go to the right-hand side. That didn't last long for the Red Bull. He'll get past Mozzie. So if this gamble was to try to back up the Aston Martin and the Red Bull to Sweller's team, it's not gone successful.
It definitely hasn't. So I think at this point he should just let Sweller by and let Sweller try and stay on these drivers. Obviously, he's within a second, and it looks like he's going to let him out of the final quarter possibly. And it looks like, yep, there we go. The Alfa Romeos are swapped, and Sweller's on the fringes of that 1 second margin.
The DRS will be enabled next time through. So now Bot Scherbel, a 7/10 gap to Wraith, who has a 1 second gap to Sweller's team in the Alfa Romeo, who now leads his team at Mozzie from Tone Lesteth. The Biz and Groggy, they swap positions, battle for the 8th position on track. The Haas gets the better of that. He's now 2.7 seconds behind the Alpha Tauri bunch of Heatwave and Roscoe in 6th and 7th, which, by the way, it's almost like a little bit of a buffer between these two, having their own kind of a free racetrack. Not necessarily sure why they had that bit of a buffer already. We're going to try to chase that down. DeBiz has kind of gained a bit, about a 10th or so, and lost it.
Yeah, I think he's just within the pace of Roscoe, and he might not just be able to gain unless he's just saving his pace for later. I don't know, really. So he's just going to try and catch up to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, a bit of a train now starting to form from Sweller all the way down to Roscoe.
That's crucial, but Mozzie is barely on the fringes of that DRS, only 9/10 of a second. So if he loses that, he could be under pressure from everyone behind him, Tone Lesteth, Heatwave, and Roscoe. With Sweller, 1.3 seconds. Now, Mozzie is outside of that 1 second gap. DRS will be enabled this time by. You will not be able to use it until turn 2 exit down into turn 3, which is good for Wraith, not so good for Bot Scherbel.
Actually, I think they don't have another DRS detection zone after turn 1, so they won't have DRS going into exit of turn 2 into turn 3. So they're going to have to wait until the fast chicane exit of turn 12 if they want to use it. And Wraith, well, he simply just wants it now.
He wished it was enabled on the front straightaway, because those two DRS zones, kind of similar to Mexico City a week ago. But he wishes the straights were about as long as Mexico City was a week ago. Maybe he could try to make those moves gone through this race. 10 laps down, 9 completed, 20 more to go of the Australian Grand Prix for round 20 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship. Heatwave closing in on Tone Lesteth, and he's closing in on Mozzie.
Yeah, Mozzie, clearly the gamble has not worked out for the Alfa Romeo, and he's gonna see a mirror of a red car, an AlphaTauri, both AlphaTauris, actually, I want to mention, all Italian brands. might be a little bit scared.
Well, theoretically, Mozzie is also kind of an Italian brand, but
That's
he's not
true.
going to be scared of his own car now, will he?
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, if you're scared of your own car, why are you even driving it?
Very true. Wraith was in 7/10, now 6/10. He could be close enough to maybe mount a charge down to turn 3. Maybe not close enough this time, and if he's going to get an exit on the exit of turn 2, maybe he could try to mount a charge down into the braking zone of turn 3. Close on Bot Sherble through 2, into 3, here we go. This main straightaway, the DRS, is he close enough? Doesn't look like it. He may be too far back.
Yeah, so he's just going to have to sit behind for the time being, recharge that ERS, and go for another move either into turn 13 if he's close enough. I just have to wait for another full lap.
Oh, no!
Oh!
Heatwave made a move on the Ferrari and broke too late and hit the back of Mozzie, spinning him around.
That has definitely,
It's
gone from bad to worse for the Alfa Romeo. Obviously, he will still grab points, but yikes.
Now, does Heatwave have damage? Does Roscoe have damage? They both may have had a piece of him.
Looking at it, it looks like Heatwave doesn't have any visual damage. Neither does Roscoe. Neither does Toneless. So I think they just managed to escape, unless it isn't visual, just looking at the intervals.
Oh, no!
Oh!
Toneless death into the wall and out of the race!
Oh. Likewise, his
I
teammate.
saw that on the exit. There he is, and Toneless death, like his teammate, once like you said a second ago, out of the race. Will there be a safety car this time? But with that crash and him out of the classification for the Australian Grand Prix, Toneless Death has been eliminated from championship contention. 4 rounds and completion of this one. The top 3 are only left. Gerbil, Wraith, Sweller. No safety car.
That is not what he wanted, so I think what he could do now for the rest of the season is try and help Ferrari. And the constructors, they're a long way back from Alfa Romeo, so that's really the best he could do. But Toneless, he had such a great season, needless to say. He only has 1 win, but he's definitely been up there. Actually, no, he has 2 wins, my mistake. But unfortunately, the past 2 races not gone his way.
No, it hasn't. And that's something he wishes he can get back. But unfortunately, with him being eliminated now, there's nothing really, I guess, drivers-wise to fight for, except trying to conceive and secure that 4th place, maybe even higher up. He's not too far away from Bosch Gerbil and the Aston Martin ahead of him. Speaking of the Aston Martin, he's only 6/10 or so ahead of Wraith in the Red Bull, kind of keeping him at bay right now. Well, you see there's a little bit of breakaway. It's just Sweller's team behind the Red Bull of Wraith. How long will he be able to hold him off?
We'll have to find out, really. Obviously, Wraith, we know he has the pace. Botch Gerbil definitely has the pace as well. They could possibly just keep trading between the two, but I think Wraith, he's going to think ahead. He knows that he wants this championship. He's going to push everything to try and grab it. Obviously, his championship rival directly behind him. He's only gaining 3 points. He wants to gain 10 points, or 26 for that matter, if we want to be really specific. But right now, he's just stuck. But Sweller, he's just gonna keep it easy, log the laps. He's pretty comfortable.
Yeah, right now sitting on the podium, he's not really losing much. 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane to Mozzie, and that may be pretty much his day gone from even worse to absolutely horrible and atrocious for the Alfa Romeo. What could have been? He's on the mediums, so he'll go once more and see if he can try to stretch it out into the rain, which, by the way, we're closing in on halfway. When do we see the rain?
No clue. I, again, told Rain, no, don't know when. Halfway, so that's already 20 minutes. Oh, Turbo's round!
Into the barriers he goes. He has that front wing damage, but he's still in the race. And like that, it has gone upside down.
It definitely has, and that's exactly what Wraith would have wanted to see. He's now got a comfortable gap to Sweller, and now he's leading. So from pole, from P2, back up to P1. So all he needs to do, possibly go for fastest lap and just get the maximum amount that he can.
Well, now that 3.7 seconds gap, that would actually mean he would gain 7 points on Sweller's team, putting the gap down to 49. And with about 4 races after this one to go, you can get about 26 and, was it 52 in 2 races. Something tells me 52 is a little bit more than 49. So if he can end it like it is right now, it'll be perfect for Wraith. He can mount that championship charge. Can he get there? We'll have to find out. But there's still a long way to go. 16 laps to go. And the Australian Grand Prix for the Tier 2 Championship of the Breakout Racing League. Heatwave now the closest battle on track with his teammate, Roscoe.
Yeah, AlphaTauri having a bit of a quiet day, but also a really good day. Obviously, as of recently, Roscoe has definitely picked up the pace. I mean, he's already got 2 P3s in a row. He's gonna want to make it 3 in a row. And Heatwave, well, he's gonna want to make up from last week where he got a DNF. He wants to be on the podium. Roscoe wants to be on the podium, but either way, still some great points for them.
It is indeed, and now Heatwave may have to think in the back of his mind, well, he may actually grab a time penalty from the stewards' inquiries because, well, that collision with Mozzie spinning the Alfa Romeo around. So as it stands, maybe around 5 or 10 seconds, you never know what the stewards could give the AlphaTauri. The gap now 4.2, that may play in the back of his mind. So right now, as it stands, he could be under pressure for that. But right now, there's still a long way to go in this race. It could change. He may not even get a penalty. But the Alfa Romeo right now just has to look forward. And right now, in front of him is his teammate Roscoe, and he's closing in. He may actually try to go for this move down in the turn 3. Roscoe goes a bit to the left-hand side, and he'll let him through.
Well, kind of. You expect if someone were to let him through, you'd just give him the racing line, simple as that. And Heatwave would just maximize the corner, but a little bit of a fight, but not really. But that's going to be helpful for Heatwave, and he's now on the podium once again.
So now it's going to be Heatwave. Can he get any more pace? It thinks like Rosso tried to, I guess, let his teammate bite. Maybe he thought that Heatwave has a little bit more pace of the 2 AlphaTauris. Can he go chase down Sweller's team, who's, by the way, look at how far Wraith has opened up a gap. Now 4.6 seconds.
Yeah, Wraith definitely looking pretty comfortable now. He just needs to limit the mistakes. And as long as another safety car doesn't happen, both AlphaTauris getting a 3-second time penalty at the same corner.
Interesting.
How uncanny.
Well, now, Roscoe almost out of the DRS range from his teammate. Now he actually is out of the DRS range, meaning no one on the grid will have DRS on each other, which now brings the crucial question. Well, how far away is this rain? Right now, the skies look pretty clear. Not as cloudy as it was before, actually. There's still quite a lot of sunlight coming through the clouds. Sweller's team, 5.1 seconds. Heatwave, 8.4 back from the lead. So far, Wraith is putting on a clinic.
Yeah, and it's not like that he's been pushing all that much. Just looking over at ERS levels, he's looking pretty decent. I'm not going to say exactly what, but he's not using everything, so he's just kind of keeping it easy for the time being. Sweller around midway for his levels, but he has to be a little bit careful, though, because Heatwave is on a charge. He's slowly starting to close that gap.
Yes, he is. Now, Heatwave trying to close into Sweller's team, meaning this could actually help out Wraith a bit more. He could probably kind of decrease the amount of level in which he's actually pushing the car a bit more, you know? Because, I mean, we've seen Bosch Turbo, he was leading and then into the barriers. What could stop Wraith from doing it? So the more the gap that is between him and Sweller's team, the more he can kind of ease off on the pace, his percentage of actually pushing the car and try to prevent mistakes. So there's still about 14 or so laps to go. In the Australian Grand Prix, we've completed 15. We're about to come across the line with Wraith in a few seconds' time to complete lap 16 of the Australian Grand Prix. When do we think these pit stops can come in? I keep saying it, but with it right now, that's kind of all we have really to talk about.
Starting to think I'm being lied to, because if you look at the track, the sun has come out. So, Heatwave, you got some explaining to do in terms of the weather reports.
Hey, uncanny weatherman, maybe we should not go to sketchy sources from now on.
Exactly, don't go into the dark web. It doesn't help.
Well, it's kind of ironic, because, well, the track has actually gotten a lot brighter, like you said a second ago. And actually, it looks like there's been less clouds. It's actually gotten a little bit more sunny. So right now, maybe this rain doesn't come after all. And if that's the case, Wraith is absolutely loving this. So it's now going to be a tire wear game. Can you conserve your tires? Can you make it go to the end of the race? Probably say they can go about 20 or so laps. Well, with that race, they came in around 11 laps to go. Around lap number 6, yellow flag, Groggy Oregano. And the Alpine
turn
He's
5.
gone around at turn 5.
And he has got left side end plate damage, so Groggy clearly hitting the wall at some point. That is not what he wanted. He was having a very quiet race, but he was decently in the points, but now he's lost position to Botch Gerbil, who's already made a pit stop due to having damage. And, well, that's not what he wanted. Obviously, he'll still get points, but you always want more.
Absolutely. As a driver, both of us can contest to this. You never want to settle for what you have. You want absolutely more, which is why it's crucial. Heatwave is still actually staying pretty close, not losing too much time. A lap, yellow flag, that's Groggy again. The exit of turn 12, trying to nurse his car back to the pit lane. But Groggy's not lost, I'm not right. Heatwave's not lost much time to Wraith, but he's gaining a lot on Swillerstein.
Yeah, gap between the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo. Currently 2 seconds. He's gained about a second or so in the past couple of laps. So we could potentially see a bit of a battle for what would be, at least on track, P2.
Yep, as it stands, penalties. We'll take a look at that real quick. 3 seconds to Heatwave, Roscoe to Biz. Mozzie and Groggy, they swap positions. Obviously, Groggy going into the pit lane. Mozzie has a 5 second for speeding in the pit lane, and Groggy has a 3 second for track extensions and multiple warnings that will be applied at the end of his race. So now, with that being said, 17 laps down, 12 more to go. Now it's kind of go time.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what is on Heatwave's mind right now. Just go. Give it everything. He's catching. He's got the pace. He just needs to overtake Sweller. He wants to do it as soon as possible so he can build the gap.
Well, that's the big thing here, because it may not be entirely easy to get these mediums into the Grand Prix, or they maybe could. You never know, because how much Heatwave is pushing could take a lot of his tire wear and make it a little bit more difficult to go to the end. So how much he's pushing right now, is that going to come back to haunt him?
Just looking over at some of the tire wear on the other cars, Wraith, as of right now, his tire wears are looking a little bit interesting, needless to say, on the front. Sweller actually looks kind of decent, I would say. But obviously, he hasn't been pushing as much as Wraith and Heatwave have. Heatwave's tires not entirely looking all that pretty. So this could be a little bit of endurance. Who can preserve the tires to the point where they can make it?
Well, that would explain a little bit why Swellerstein has been kind of falling back a little bit from Wraith. Maybe he is saving and trying to make sure he can nurse his tires to the end of the race. Groggy Reganar, 3 second time penalty. That puts his his limit at 6 or so. So he'll have 6 seconds to be applied at the end of his race time. So far, he sits P8. And we'll see what he can do. 1 minute and 20 seconds off of the lead.
Yeah, it's definitely not been Groggy's day, as he's, a couple seconds off of being lapped. But once again, as I said, he'll still grab points. Not entirely the points they want, but it's the points he will most likely get if no one retires. So he's just going to have to bring it home to the end of this race. One person who's going to have to bring it home, but have to be a little bit aware, Heatwave, he's within that DRS, just on the fringes.
Yes, he is. That would be now going to, if he could stay within that second window, going down into turn 12, 11 and 12, that chicane, that detection zone, and during to turn 10, he'll have that DRS. DeBiz pitting, which, by the way, you were speaking of points, here's the fastest lap. Roscoe right now has the fastest lap at 24.2. He is now, I believe, 2 tenths clear than anyone who's closest, that being Bart Scherble, who now actually is up to 5th. But right now, the most pressing story, he's now within a second. 9 tenths to be exact.
Yeah, he's just on the fringes as before, still gaining slowly but surely is the AlphaTauri. Don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move out of the exit of turn 12 into turn 13, unless he is just really good at the fast chicane, in which right now, a little bit equal between the two, so he's not going to be close enough yet.
Well, now we'll now go down into turn 1, maybe down into turn 3 as well. He's closing in a ton on Swellerstein over the last couple of laps or so. We're now going to be on to lap 21 in a few seconds' time. Mozzie goes into pit as well. Both DeBiz and Mozzie now on the soft compounded tire, but with that, now, Heatwave comes into pit.
Ooh. So, we're talking about the pit stops when they'll come. That's probably them saying that the tires aren't going to make it.
Well, now that's even more crucial, because if Swellerstein can make it, The pit stop around here is around 19 or so seconds. If he can stay out, nurse his tire to the end for the next about 9 laps, that is about 11 seconds of a gap he would have on Wraith. How much he can prevent Wraith from closing up, that's undecided right now. But if he can try to nurse these tires, stay on track, and force Wraith to be more aggressive strategy, maybe this could work out for the Alfa Romeo after all.
Let's not forget, though, that usually the pace difference between the mediums and the softs is around 1.1 to 1.2 seconds. But that's when they're fresh. Sweller, if Wraith were to pit right now, but Sweller crosses the line, it'll be 16 laps on those mediums compared to Wraith's fresh softs. That is a huge gain for the softs.
Let's see. Any gamble is a gamble nonetheless. We'll see what the Red Bull of Wraith will do. Will he stay out? Yes, he will. So he'll kind of continue on this medium. Does he stay out the entire way? That'll be something to look forward to. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Sweller's seeing undercuts. Well, not this time. If he was trying to Roscoe, he'll be the next one. Will he consider pitting? His teammate did a lap ago. He won't, though.
I think that they think that the tire wear isn't as massive as Heatwave thinks they are, or DeBees, or even Mozzie. So if they preserve the tires as much as they have to the point where they could stay out, well, this could potentially be the podium as of right now. It can definitely change if there's possibly a safety car or if everyone else pits. But right now, this is what we're looking at.
Yes, it is, and DeBiz is actually closing in on Bot Sturble, who actually sets the fastest lap, by the way, a 24-0. So he will now have that fastest lap point if he finishes this race, which 90% is coming up. So as everyone has obviously only 10 cars, everyone who finishes this race will grab points, including fastest lap if they grab that. DeBiz right now would get about, I believe, 9 points to his name if it finishes as it is. But that's it. Bot Sturble, who's ahead of him, I think he can go to the end on those mediums. But he's closing in the Haas on the Aston Martin, not too far away, about 1.6 seconds or so.
Yeah, Bot Sturble's tires can definitely make it to the end, but it's just not the way that he wanted this race to unfold. Fighting at the front, just one mistake was one mistake too many, and all the way down in P5, the V is no doubt going to catch him soon.
Definitely. But right now, once again, it's one thing to catch someone. It's another thing to pass someone. With the DRS, the tire advantage, theoretically, you would think, okay, well, he could get through on the Aston Martin pretty relatively easily, but it's not always that simple. So we'll see how that plays out once he gets closer to him. He's about 1.3 seconds off, about 1.2 or so now. Groggy racking out a 3-second time penalty. That'll put his total up to 9. That'll be applied at the end of his race. But once again, Heatwave now sets the fastest lap at 23.2, but Wraith, Sweller, and Roscoe stays out. There's 7 laps to go. Can they make it?
It's gonna be, like I said, a tire preservation race. Looking over at the tower once again, the front right of Sweller is looking okay. The front left, though, isn't entirely the same case. Sweller hitting the wall a little bit, and Wraith at the 3-second.
Interesting. So that now puts his total up to 3. So that'll be 3 seconds applied at the end of his race. 6.5 seconds is now the gap. So if it were to have a little bit of a pit cycle going in, Wraith would actually be a little bit disadvantaged, but he needs to be the first one to stop to kind of advantage on that. But right now, Sweller going through, down in this turn 15 now. Wraith stays out once again. Sweller, does he stay out? Yes, he will. I think it's a little bit too late now to come into the stop. If you are going to, unless something dramatic happens, like a puncture. We've seen it many times before. We saw Walking Chaos in the Hungarian and the Belgian Grand Prix have a puncture from the lead. We've had a lot of punctures on the latter stages of races, especially trying to get drivers stretching their tires out. Is that kind of day we're going to have today? There's about, well, let's see, 6 laps to go. It's possible. Heatwave sets an even faster lap, 23.1.
Yeah, Heatwave, like he was before he pitted, on a charge once again. He wants even more points for AlphaTauri right now. 11, 12, that's 23 points for them, which is definitely going to help. But Heatwave, don't think he's going to close up enough to Sweller. The least he could do is close up to his teammate, but that's a bit of a stretch.
It's only 6 seconds or so it depends how far off Roscoe's tires fall off, I guess you could necessarily say. DeBiz looked for a move down in the turn 1, just wasn't close enough down that straightaway. and he wasn't close enough into turn 3, but he could have a shot down into turn 13 this time. The softs on the Haas a lot fresher, 6 laps to be exact, compared to the C3 medium compact tire of Botch Gerbil and the Aston Martin ahead of him. So now we have the laps winding down, staying off the curbs. You see on the left side for the Biz, kind of a little bit of a semblance and a little bit of a kind of precaution for what happened during qualifying. But look how close he is this time to the Aston Martin. He cuts turn 11, so that will be a 3-second time penalty applied of his end of his race time. But he's close enough this time. He's going to go to the right-hand side. On the grass he goes. Down the inside of 13. He'll stay side by side. Around the outside for Botch Gerbil. He'll stay in 5th still. That's an offense and a half for the Aston Martin. He wants this, and Heatwave grabs the fastest lap again.
The thing is, though, Botch Gerbil, obviously, he is defending this as much as he can. It was very close between the two. Does Botch Gerbil defend it as much? Or, well, he knows that DeVries has 6 seconds. So that might be the thought process he's going through. DeVries makes the contact, actually. But I think Botch Gerbil was just able to escape without front wing damage. He's on the back of the Haas once again. But DeVries, obviously, with the help of DRS, is going to stay ahead.
Well, he locked up a bit down into turn 3. That almost invited Botch Gerbil to look down the inside through the rest of that corner and into 4. Possibly trying to make a move, but he just stays behind now. So now he needs to be within 6 seconds of DeVries going through the rest of the race with that 6-second time penalty they applied at the end of his race for the Haas. So now he's 38.3 off of the lead. His next one up is going to be 16 seconds adrift. Mazzi gets past Karagi Oregano, battle for 7th. The Alfa Romeo gets up 1 more position. But right now, 11 seconds to Sweller's team. We are going on. Now lap 26. We have completed 25. 4 laps to go. The Australian Grand Prix. It's now down to these guys. Wraith, Sweller, Roscoe. Can they make it to the end? 20 laps apiece on their tires. Probably say they can make it about 20 laps. Well, they had a little bit of a safety car to help out stretch those tires. Can we see them go about 24, 25 laps? Because that's what they need to do. How close are they to a puncture? That's going to be something to look out for. And these drivers are praying right now that it doesn't.
I'm just watching on board with Wraith a little bit, and it looks like he's minimizing the amount of wheel spin that he gets. And, well, looking at it, yeah, there wasn't much wheel spin at the exit of turn 10. So he's starting to take it cautious now. He doesn't think that the mediums will make it. Let's not forget, though, Roscoe has 1 lap more on these mediums compared to Sweller and Wraith. So I think what they're going to watch out for is Roscoe.
DeBiz and Botch Gerbil, they're going to go side by side through 5. Botch Gerbil is actually going to get ahead of the Haas into turn 6. So he's going to have that position once again. Getting a little bit feisty for the battle for 5th. DeBiz has a penalty. Botch Gerbil does not. He doesn't necessarily need to do this.
He doesn't, but I think it's just for bragging rights, to put it simply. Just want to be ahead out on track. And that looks like that is going to be the case, but DRS will be available for DeVries out of the final chicane, and he's very, very much there. I don't think he's going to be able to make the move unless he gives it absolutely everything, which he is going to do that. Botch Gerbil defending the inside. DeVries finding a gap, but Botch Gerbil going around the outside still stays ahead.
Wow. Trying to get through absolutely everywhere. He even went on the grass. That's now the 2nd time he's tried that move. DeBiz is trying as hard as he can to get past Botch Gerbil and trying to open up a 6-second gap to the Aston Martin, but he just cannot seem to find that pace right now to get through, and most crucially the space to get through on the Aston Martin. He tries to go through again. Heatwave and Roscoe, they've actually switched positions. What's happened to Roscoe? Does he have a puncture? No, he doesn't. It looks like they may have actually swapped around.
I can tell you this right here, right now, that was not a simple team order type thing. Roscoe actually fought Heatwave for that, so there's no team orders over at AlphaTauri. That was a little bit risky, but Heatwave grabbing the position.
And that's also going to be a 3-second time penalty to Roscoe as well. So now that's going to put him pretty much on par. Actually now 3 seconds more than his teammate Heatwave. So he's going to be off the podium unless something drastic happens. Wraith's going to go on to lap 28 in a few seconds time to the penultimate lap of the Australian Grand Prix for round 20 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship. The laps are counting down. The podium right now, Wraith's Sweller's team Heatwave. Can it end like this? We'll find out. Only 2 laps to go.
I'm just watching the top 2 really as to how close they are to a puncture. It's looking tight in terms of tire wear. I'm not entirely sure what their tire percentage is at, it's obviously around 75% for these guys is when the tire wear will be crucial, because that's around puncture range. So I think they're just really trying to manage that as much as possible. And right now, well, I mean, Wraith's tires, they look okay, but Sweller's tires are the exact opposite. They do not look pretty.
They don't indeed. Here comes the Biz on Botch Gerbil. Almost contact through 1 into 2. That could have been crucial and disastrous to the Haas. He's going to go for it again into turn 3 around the outside of 3. They'll go side by side, wheel to wheel, almost up the track. He stays on. They're still going to go side by side into 4. The Haas and the Aston Martin. They're going to go side by side into 5. Still wheel to wheel. And look at that. The Biz gets it done again. These two swapping around, fighting absolutely tooth and nail. And they're going for it at absolute max force. The Biz gets it so far.
Yeah, these two are leaving absolutely nothing on the table. They want track position. Obviously, Gerbil, he doesn't have to fight this. He doesn't have the 6 seconds in comparison to DeBees, but he's just going to... He wants the bragging rights, as I said before. He just wants the position. We're on the final lap, by the way.
Yes, we are. The race has gone through pretty quickly. And it's something that has been, well, direly awaited for some of these drivers in the Tier 2 Championship, myself included. This race, this track, it's kind of synonymous to me and to a lot of the Formula One calendar for as of a long time now, ever since the mid-90s. And that's kind of great. We've gone back here after 560 days, and what a race it's been so far. Bosch, Gerbil, and DeBiz, they're not done yet. Battle for 6th into 5th now. Can the Aston Martin grab it on track? He doesn't have a time penalty. DeBiz does. He's going to go a bit wide into the 1, into 2. Gerbil on the outside. He'll grab the DRS. The Aston Martin side by side with the Haas down to the 3 for the final time. They go. And Gerbil's going to get ahead only just for now, as actually DeBiz has gone off the track a bit. But we go from the battle for 5th to the battle for the lead, because there wasn't one. 13 seconds. BRL Wraith, 56 points away. He wants to close in the championship. He has tried, and as of late, he succeeded. To the final time, the final corner of the Australian Grand Prix. It's been a long time. It's been 560 days. Well, Wraith will win the Australian Grand Prix, a back-to-back for Red Bull. Last time it was Jack GW about 2 seasons ago. Wraith now with 6 wins. He's closing in. He'll gain about 7 points on this man in second. Swellerstein, the gap down now to 49. 4 rounds to go. He-Wave will grab a podium, and it's a good drive indeed for the AlphaTauri. His teammate will get 4th. Great drive and great gap for the AlphaTauri in the championship. They'll gain a lot of points indeed. Bosch Gerbil, well, he gained a couple of seconds, and he will get 5th on track because of what both his penalty and both he's actually finished ahead of DeBiz. They fought for laps at a time. But the Aston Martin, what could have been? He was leading the race. He spun in the exit of turn 12. DeBiz finishing 6th. And that's all to wrap the Australian Grand Prix on track. Driver of the day, who is it going to be? Swellerstein.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Obviously, he did set a lap in qualifying, and he managed to climb his way up to P2. So I won't deny that.
This man, he's won 5, now make it 6. There is 4 more rounds to go. 3 more horses left in the race. Wraith, Sweller, and Bosch Gerbil.
I just want to note real quick that on the final lap, despite Wraith saving his tires, he still set his personal best on the final lap.
Incredible.
Just shows that he still had plenty of pace left.
Well, he has plenty of pace left. He has plenty of time left. Can he put 2 and 2 together? Wraith grabs 7 points in the championship gap compared to Swellerstein. The gap now to 49 because he wins the Australian Grand Prix ahead of Swellerstein in the Alfa Romeo. Heatwave will grab the podium and the fastest lap. He'll grab 16 points to his name. He finishes ahead of his teammate in the AlphaTauri. Roscoe in 4th. Bosch Gerbil, he was leading the race. He now comes home to finish 5th. He was so close. Wraith wins from pole. That's something for the stat sheet as well. DeBiz finishing 6th. Mozzie 7th. Karaki Oregano in 8th. Toneless Death and Tweaking, both Ferraris we have lost from the Australian Grand Prix. 20 rounds down. 4 more to go. The time is ticking. Can Wraith close on Swellerstein? We'll find out.
It's a bit of a gamble, but we'll see. Obviously, this is exactly what he wanted. Obviously, he wanted Sweller to be lower. But, you know, it's the most that he could get in comparison to where Sweller is. He's just going to have to keep that up.
That indeed. Driver of the day went to Sweller's team as well, from 8th to 2nd, up 6 positions as well. So I believe we'll actually go ahead and start the podium interviews, and we'll go to Domenico for Heatwave.
Yeah, Heatwave, obviously you started on the second row. You actually finished where you started. It was a bit of a interesting race in terms of strategy. And by the way, I just have to ask this before I continue on. Why did you lie to me about the weather report? You said there was rain.
Okay, there was supposed to be rain, but you know how shit this game is. So, no further comments on that.
we're gonna have to talk later, but
All right.
it was definitely a interesting race despite the lack of attendance. And well, you decided that the tire wear was it was just not gonna be enough for you to make it to the end, making another pit stop, then charging on from the softs on from 4th, I think, back to your teammate. Little bit of a tussle between you two, but you managed to get ahead and grab a podium with the fastest lap. So, what was your race like?
Yeah, at the start, it was just bad. I lost positions, didn't have pace on the mediums. Then the safety car came out, we all went to mediums. And I went into AI, and then I ended up having 1.3 extra laps of fuel after I got out of AI. And it just weighed me down basically throughout the race, because I don't use any fuel when I race. But yeah, as the race went on, tire wear was just too much. I'm really bad with tire wear around here, so I took the gamble and went on to soft. It almost paid out. Just didn't have enough pace, and then fighting with Roscoe didn't really help.
Yeah,
Not really
it definitely
happy
didn't
with
exactly.
it, but fine.
Yeah, it didn't exactly help, but nonetheless, you still managed to grab that podium spot. Next week, though, we go to the infamous Sao Paulo Grand Prix at Interlagos. How do you think of your chances there?
I really don't like the track, but I feel like I'll still be able to get decent points if I actually practice.
We'll have to wait and see. Katra, do you have any questions for Heatwave?
No, I do not.
All right, then. Then in that case, once again, congratulations on another podium finish. With that, though, unfortunately, Sweller's team isn't able to join this. But we'll move on to Katra for Wraith for the win of the Australian Grand Prix. Take it away.
Absolutely. Once again, congratulations to Sweller's team and to Heatwave, the podium sitters for 2nd and 3rd. But we go to 1st. Wraith, you win now the 6th race of the season. 4 rounds to go. The gap's now 49 points. It's closing in. You're getting there. But right now, tell us through what happened in your Australian Grand Prix, because you put on a clinic. 13 seconds, 10 after the flag.
After qualifying, or, once I was done with qualifying, or, my session was done, I was, a little tensed and bummed out, but I mean, I wound up getting pole, so, try to have my head down and, just get no damage at the start and make sure I, just try and, pull a gap, but then, yeah, safety. I was just trying to be mindful of, the championship, and then a safety car came out, so yeah, but I think overall, I just try to keep my pace up and keep it clean, and yeah, worked out and feels great.
Feels great indeed, I would imagine. 6 now wins to your name. Now puts you ahead the most wins of the season. You have also gotten 10 poles, the only one in the double digits out of the season as well. I think that pretty much locks the Mr. Saturday title, by the way. But also, one thing to point out, Brazil, Sao Paulo, a week from now, closing in once again, like I said earlier, on the Drivers' Championship. Do you think you can close even more in the Brazilian Grand Prix?
I mean, yeah, of course. I think, every weekend, just taking one weekend at a time and getting the most I can out of it. So, yeah, I think definitely the championship is there.
We'll see if it's going to be there indeed, because it's closing in. Time's running out between you, Sweller's team, and don't forget Aston Martin Abrat's Gerbil. He's also in the fight as well. But once again, congratulations to you on winning the Australian Grand Prix.
Thank you.
Well, from that pretty much wraps it up here on track of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship for round 20 of the Australian Grand Prix. For myself, Hey Catcher, alongside with Miniko once again. And, don't go anywhere. In about 40 minutes time, Tier 1 takes their action for round 20 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 1 Championship in the Australian Grand Prix. You get to see the likes of Bailey, Chandler, of Hoopalicious, of Cam, and every others going on as their Australian Grand Prix. But actually, fun fact, Chandler's not making it. Could this be a championship decider? Maybe. We'll have to find out. Just keep it on the down low. But right now, we'll have to find out how that plays out in their Tier 1 Championship. Tomorrow in ACC, we take it to Bathurst. Australian Grand Prix for both Formula 1 and ACC. A set of course of competizione at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tier 2. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tier 1 for the Bathurst race and ACC. It'll be great indeed. We'll keep it there. We'll have some fun. It'll be a great time. And then on Wednesday, we have Formula 2 as they take on round 21 of the Formula 2 Championship, their weekend. Technically round 42 and 43. We'll get on that later. I'm not really going to go into that. But they got to have their fun there. And on Thursday, Realistic Performance as they take on their Australian Grand Prix. Then Friday, you have Tier 3 and Tier 4 at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then here, a week from now, same place, same time, round 21 of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship, the Brazilian Grand Prix. We cannot wait. But once again, myself, Hey Katra, Miniko, and the entirety of the Breakout Racing League Tier 2 Championship and the Breakout Racing League as a whole, we say thank you for watching and good night.